We're recording and we're live. One of the articles that I read about boundaries and where they were listing material boundaries, physical boundaries, mental boundaries, emotional boundaries,
Sexual boundaries, yeah.
ritual boundaries, their definition of mental boundaries are
Mm-hmm.
the last line there. They say if you become highly emotional, argumentative, defensive, you may have weak emotional boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, hell no, hold up, that is not accurate. Because my thoughts around that line was, I could just have like, Jay, don't,
So, oh no, that highly emotional part got to you. Go ahead.
You know why? Because I felt like that line is under mental boundaries, but it's talking about if I get triggered by things easily, I may have weak emotional boundaries. And I thought,
You may have. You said it's remember that question that
yeah,
you may.
yes, but that should trigger you.
You may have weak emotional boundaries. It
Yes,
didn't say you have.
yes,
It
yes.
said you may have. So it's something to consider based on the highly emotional, argumentative, or defensive reaction.
Yeah.
So therefore,
So I wanted to put it out there when people read this article to not be me and be triggered by it because it does say may. The reason is because I want them to understand that they say may because it could be that you have things that are you're dealing with or like things that are in progress in your life and things that do trigger you because of past experience or whatever. That does not necessarily mean you have weak mental boundaries.
of
When I
course not.
see weak mental boundaries, I see this a lot on social media where there's that group think shit where we're discussing a certain topic and then somebody says something and all of us are suddenly behind that one point, like there are no other different points of view or
I
perspectives
see it.
on that certain subject.
Because
So
what you just got finished saying was what they said here. Can you listen with an open mind to someone else's opinion without becoming rigid?
exactly,
You
exactly.
know.
It's okay to have
Uh,
a different point of view.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Groupthink is a human thing that we do. I mean, we tend to move in packs.
Yeah.
So we tend to want to feel comfortable also too. Groupthink is a comfort food. What about this emotional boundaries? They said healthy emotional boundaries require clear internal boundaries, knowing your feelings and your responsibilities to yourself and others.
The one that has the power struggle with the people pleaser person.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you because these people, and I've been this person before, sometimes I am, where you take on other people's baggage so much that you're there defending people, you're there just like you're tired on behalf of people because
It's almost what they call them today is empaths.
yeah, but that is not an empath. That is a person who likes to, that's a saver complex person. You're just
I
out
can,
there trying to seem like you care so much about other people
right.
while you're drained, you're tired,
Yes, you're drained.
for you.
Yes,
No,
yes.
that is not an empath. That is just a person who likes other people's business. Do you think we live in a time where our friends have to call us? Like, let's say my friend is going through something. Must she call me and
Mhm.
say, listen, I'm going through some shit. Do you have the capacity to hear me out or listen to me? Or must they just call and just dump their shit on me? Because I could be going through shit too. I don't want
Well,
to
this is where the boundaries come into play.
Now's not a good time for me. Emotional.
That's that's how you do it. Exactly the way you just said it. This
Yeah.
is not hard. This is not hard. The hard part is feeling uncomfortable doing it. You
Some
understand what I'm
people
saying?
battle with post boundary guilt. So you've set the boundary, you've been in the uncomfortable moment, you've done it. The person is not calling you to tell you their shit, but you're stuck there like, oh man, was I a bitch?
Well, that means that also can mean that you haven't been dealing with your shit. Because if you got stuff that you got to deal with, you don't got too much time to be worried about what somebody else and how they feel about you setting the boundary. Because when you're so busy dealing with your own boundaries and trying to understand you don't have too much time to be worrying about somebody else's reaction to you. Even when you are thinking about how they reacted to your boundaries, that right there is still people pleasing.
Mm.
You understand? You need to be focusing on you and focusing on what your boundaries are, and staying clear and standing tall on those things.
It's just to say that when they do, and you are not mentally, physically, or emotionally available for them, be free to say so. And
Exactly. And
and
it's not saying that you're a bad friend, and it's not saying you're not there for them. It's just saying at this particular time, this is not the time for it.
unable.
And that's going to be way more healthy for you in the long run. But when you take the quote unquote noble road and the people pleasing road or the savior road, then you're going to end up having this thing called resentment.
Whew, whew, and you're just walking around and you're angry at people that love you because you
Exactly.
keep giving and giving and giving,
And that's you right there. Right there. You give and you give and you give. And then
and
you
you
feel
didn't look at
drained, and
yourself.
then now you mad.
What do I have left for me?
What's up with this sexual boundaries thing? They saying protect your comfort level with sexual touch and activity. What, where, when, and with whom?
We spoke about this once. We spoke about this once about at, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm dating guy X, and
Yes.
this guy is totally into BDSM. And at that time, I am where I am with my life and my boundaries and whatever I'm dragging with me. And I'm
Right.
loving that shit. And I'm just like, choke me, daddy, right?
Yes.
And
Gotcha.
then 4 years later, I can't
Mm-hmm.
understand it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want it. I just want that affectionate, like cuddle me. I want us to cry together type of love, you know? So like these
That's not happening though.
boundaries,
But go ahead.
they change, right?
Yeah, you're not getting that cry together, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Why can't we cry together, guys? It's
I'm
such
just listening to what you're saying. I'm just saying that's not happening, but go ahead. Yes.
that to me speaks to sexual boundaries, and they change just
Mhm.
because we
Yes,
change.
they do. They change just like how dynamic thing you as a human being change. Just they change. That's how come it's got to be a thing that you constantly talk about. See, the problem that we do, again, is that we're not communicating. So
Yeah.
when we're going through these changes and stuff, we're feeling guilty. Like we feel guilt, we feel shame. We're like, why am I going through this? And instead of just sitting back having the conversation with the person to whom you say that you're trying to build a legacy with, someone you're
Mm.
saying that you love. Well, if that's true, then this is how you must communicate. When you talk about spiritual boundaries, relate to your beliefs and experiences in connection with God or a higher power. Like that is a very big deal when it comes to human connection, because people talk about that all the time. When you start relating with each other to a certain level, and you start going into the legacy level again,
Yeah.
God is going to be a topic of conversation. Higher power is going to be a topic of conversation.
Especially now where we're living in a world where we're dating across cultures, religion, color. So people may come from different religious backgrounds and spiritual beliefs, but they come together and they have to be understanding and compromising. And I won't learn someone's religion in like a couple of months or a year. It's all
No,
things and seeing how they evolve in their journey spiritually, and seeing and understanding and respecting that, and vice
yeah,
versa.
and vice versa. Yeah,
Together, I'm happy to fast with you if you're into that. And then year two, I'm just like,
yeah.
I'll do a liquid fast. And then year three, I'm just like, dude, you're on your own.
So when you're talking about those type of things, like that's a very important aspect of it all.
But right
And
now, the world, Jay, is teaching us that selfish is not wrong. Selfish is love. Well, they word it like this: self care or self what is not selfish. I mean, I don't know. I just think
hey, all we have to do is look at the keyword.
self, because it's not talking about nobody else around you, and nobody is living and existing as an island here. There's people.
You and I talk about this a lot, right? The yin and the yang,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The yin and the yang. You need them both. They're both very important. One is not more important than the other. So yes, self-care is important, but also care of others is important. So how do we balance the yin with the yang? That is the dilemma when you're dealing with this particular situation.
Yeah.
If I'm building up myself so that we can have a better relationship, then yes, it's a beautiful thing.
Go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But then if I'm building myself in spite of our relationship, then now we're dealing with a whole different monster now.
Yeah, and I see that a lot where people are in relationships building themselves while you're there, and you're just the in the meantime person. Like while they put their shit together, they get better. And then when they're done and they're great, they're like, okay, it's been great.
Time to move on. My conclusion of it is, man, you just, as long as you understand who you are as a human, that you're dynamic and you're going to go through a spectrum of feelings, a spectrum of decisions, and you're going to make good decisions, bad decisions. You're going to go through this whole process of growing. And as long as you can look at yourself and say, that's what I have to go through, and to respect the fact that someone else is going through that, then maybe you can be able to build a relationship with somebody else and build a legacy. That's how I see it.
All right.
And that's, again, that's a maybe.
Yeah, we get it. You could.
It could be done, but
it could be done, but we don't know. All right.
But we don't know.
We don't know. All right, Jay.
Let's go.
I was saying, did you see Quab's response to this, which I found very interesting, because he was one of two people for me that spoke about that platonic friendship is something, yes, he's allowed, he wants to do it, but it's not easy. So that's something that I found very interesting. And also he looked at it from the level of emotionally how it feels for him. And then he also spoke about what the benefits of it is, how it brings the world together for you as a person, because you're exploring people, genders, cultures that you wouldn't normally get to explore if you were not allowed to have friends, just because you're dating Monica, who doesn't like you having female friends. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was to me the best way of really looking at it, because from a macro level, it is good to have these platonic relationships, because you're learning the world, you're learning different people. But from a micro level now we get into the micro level, there is a hint of a possible sexual attraction. And then that can play a role too in how to navigate that. You understand what I'm saying? So now from a macro level, it makes sense, but also from a micro level, it makes sense. So the hard part is navigating that, navigating the fact that if there is some type of vibe that's going on there, how do you navigate that when you have a situation at home? At the same time, am I able to put the boundaries up to where I can navigate the situation with somebody that I might have attraction with, and be able to get the most out of life because of that, because of what they may bring to the table. So this thing is more dynamic. They'll sit back and we'll have the conversation and we'll say, hey, is it wrong for me to have a female friends? Well, it depends. Everything always depends. It's not as static as yes or no.
For sure.
There's a lot to the table in that.
That I found interesting that Bob raised was the cultural thing, that the exploring the world. Because if I'm not exposed to Indian people, Indian culture, and you're not exposed to Swati or Zulus and how we do things, you wouldn't be able to navigate in our friendship or whatever the relationship is, what my limitations are, even if I communicate them to you, like, because it's just more than verbally saying it. It's you seeing how I feel and me making sure that you see how I react to certain things. And 80% of communication is body language. So
yes, it is.
So if I'm exploring the cultures and the people of the world because I'm dating Monica, then how will I know that this is not appropriate in a specific culture or setting?
All those things need to be taken into consideration, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This whole walk in life and this journey is dynamic. It's static. And that's why when I'm listening to the couples and different people talking, you can see that they giving all these ultimatums and they're static about what they want or don't want. But they don't realize, man, this whole thing is a full dynamic nuance of things.
We're gonna have to make this video 2 years from now and interview the same people, see if they feel the same. I think I think we should do that.
And that's proving the point right there. That will prove the point again. Let them see themselves and what they thought then and see if
And
that
see
has
how they
changed.
feel and think then. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Jay.
Oh, that's what's up.